Well, hello. The weather is hot, and today we're going to hear some haiku from July's video prompt. A lovely video which was taken by Kimberly Ludwig. Yes, she is related to Linda, who, as you know, is our video prompt editor. Thanks, Kimberly, for a lovely, colourful video featuring a chonky bee, which frankly speaks of summer for me. Cheers. So why a chonky bee? Well, Linda wrote this poem for our call out for the single subject haiku. Under the weight of a chonky bee, bluebells quiver. Under the weight of a chonky bee, bluebells quiver. I was intrigued. I had never heard of chonky bees, or indeed the word chonky. Apparently, it means plump or chubby, especially in an endearing way, and is usually used when referring to an animal. Who knew? Well, quite probably you did, but I didn't. Anyway, Kimberly kindly created the video and Linda sent it to me, and many of you wrote poems inspired by it. Thanks to everyone who did so, and to Linda for reading and choosing her favourites. Don't forget to go over and write a poem for this month's prompt. You'll find it on YouTube, and who knows, you might be featured on the podcast and in the Poetry P Journal. Don't forget to subscribe if you're over there and haven't done so already. It's quite free. So this week, the video inspired a collection of bee poems. Well, all except for one of you. These poems will be in the journal, out with a fair wind behind it at the end of the month. So let's hear the poems, shall we? And when I've read them, I'll add to the collection with a few previously published poems. Coneflowers for sale. Zoom close. Slow motion. Bees extra. Coneflowers for sale. Zoom close. Slow motion. Bees extra. Lisa Villa. First kiss. Her orange lip sticks on my t-shirt. First kiss. Her orange lip sticks on my t-shirt. Lakshmi Iyer. A new customer. Her basket's full of pollen. A new customer. Her basket's full of pollen. Melissa Dennison. Honeybees, getting to the heart of the matter. Honeybees, getting to the heart of the matter. Rupa Anand. Taste test. Each flower graded by a bee. Taste test. Each flower graded by a bee. Jahnavi Gogoi. Summer afternoon. Bumblebee soaks up the honeyed warmth. Summer afternoon. Bumblebee soaks up the honeyed warmth. Madhavi Kari. Unburdening the blossom. The weight of the bee. Unburdening the blossom. The weight of the bee. Amy Watson. Garden Zephyr. A busy bee sets the morning rhythm. Garden Zephyr. A busy bee sets the morning rhythm. Suraj Nanu. So, haiku about bees. It's a very, very popular subject in haiku. Let's hear some more, but this time previously published. Honeybees collect shadow pollen, dark side of the moon. Honeybees collect shadow pollen, dark side of the moon. That's Erin Castaldi from Poetry Peas Journal, Autumn 2020. Daydreaming, a bee headbutts the window pane. Daydreaming, a bee headbutts the window pane. Robert Horrobin, Poetry Pea Journal, Summer 2020. Almond flowers, petals amongst bare branches, waiting for the bee. Almond flowers, petals amongst bare branches, waiting for the bee. Richard Hargreaves, Poetry Pea Journal, Spring 2021. Fields of purple, my tinnitus overshadows the bees. Fields of purple, my tinnitus overshadows the bees. Reed Hepworth, Poetry Pea Journal, 1/22. House to let, the bees decide to settle down. House to let, the bees decide to settle down. Vandana Parashar, Poetry Pea Journal, 2/23. You really do like poems about bees. They feature heavily in our journals. I could have done a whole day's worth of podcasts probably about bees. But we really can't finish a podcast about those lovely little creatures without hearing from one of the main men of haiku, the one and only Basho. From deep in the peony's stamens, a bee crawls out, a reluctant parting. From deep in the peony's stamens, a bee crawls out, a reluctant parting. And that Basho poem was translated by Jane Reichold. Basho is, I believe, writing of the parting he is taking from his friend Toyo. And Reichold suggests that he's so sad at this parting that he doesn't stick to the traditional form of the haiku. I don't think I'm in a place to comment on that. I'm going to have to do some research on the various translations of this poem. This is one of the longer ones that I've seen. Anyway, apparently, according to Jane, the tree peony is sometimes called the plant of wealth, which could have been why Basho chose this flower for his compliment. That is, to compliment his host. Basho lets an insect represent his actions and feelings, which is quite a good technique to avoid the personal reference. I like that. I'm going to go away and give it a go today, I think. Thank you, Basho. Thank you, Jane. Thank you to all our poets. Thanks to Linda Ludwig for all her work as our video editor. And of course, Kimberly for the video. And thank you for coming along and being with me today. It's lovely to have your company. But before I head off to the shops on my bike, a little plea. If you listened last week, you may have heard Bona and I talking about the Haiku North America conference, which is taking place next year on the west coast of the US. It's a long way for me to go and very expensive from here. So I'm starting to save to see if I can make it. If you'd like to help me, you can donate on Buy Me a Coffee, or you can take out a membership from which you too might benefit. You can do everything on Buy Me a Coffee, but if you don't know how to get there, there'll be a link in the show notes. Thanks once again. See you next week with some original Senryu. Hope you can join me. But until we meet again, do keep writing. Perhaps try out that technique Jane mentioned. Let some form of animal represent your actions and feelings. Okay. Don't forget to check out the show notes, and if something's missing, just email me and I'll sort it out. Ciao!